Have you ever seen this happen? ChatGPT generates material that looks extremely professional. The formatting is clean, the structure looks polished, and it may even include years, paper titles, and citations. But have you actually checked it? Some of those sources may be fake. Some data may be outdated. And there is an even more hidden problem. The source may be real, but it may not actually support the conclusion ChatGPT just made. So this video is not about telling you not to use ChatGPT. It is about teaching you not to copy its answers directly. Also, when I say a 10-minute check, I do not mean this video itself is only 10 minutes long. I mean I will show you a practical checking workflow that can usually be completed in about 10 minutes. In this video, I will walk you through how to check a piece of AI-generated content, which parts can be used, which parts need to be revised, which parts require further verification, and which parts should be deleted completely. In the second half of the video, I will also use a free ChatGPT-generated content accuracy checklist and fill in one example row with you. You can put ChatGPT's key claims into the checklist, then judge them step by step based on the source, evidence match, credibility score, and final decision. This way, whether you are working on revision notes, assignments, papers, reports, or content before publishing it publicly, you can run it through a quick check first. Let's start with an important premise. ChatGPT is very useful for organizing frameworks, explaining concepts, generating first drafts, and summarizing information. The problem is not that it is completely unusable. The problem is that its output should not automatically be treated as the final answer. Also, if your content involves medicine, law, finance, policy, or formal academic publishing, this workflow can only help you with a preliminary screening. It cannot replace professional advice, official sources, or review from your teacher, supervisor, or advisor. There are 4 common risks in ChatGPT-generated material. The first is factual error. This includes wrong years, definitions, formulas, data, or research conclusions. The second is missing context. A sentence may not be completely wrong, but if it leaves out important conditions, it can easily become misleading when used in an assignment, paper, or report. The third is outdated information. This is especially common with policies, data, software tools, research progress, and anything that changes over time. The fourth is citation risk. This is the type most people overlook. Citation risk is especially dangerous because it often looks the most credible. ChatGPT may give you an author, a year, a paper title, a journal name, or even a DOI. But professional formatting does not mean the citation is real. And even if the citation is real, that does not mean it supports what the AI said. So I recommend using a 10-minute workflow. In minutes 1 to 2, identify the key claims in the material that are most worth checking. In minutes 3 to 5, check whether the sources actually exist. In minutes 6 to 8, compare the original source with ChatGPT's claim and see whether the source really supports it. In the final 2 minutes, give each claim a score and decide whether to use it, revise it, continue verifying it, or delete it. Remember, this workflow is not asking you to check every single sentence. What you need to do is identify the high-risk parts first. In most pieces of content, the parts that truly affect the result are usually the sentences with numbers, years, definitions, formulas, citations, and conclusions. Step 1. Break the AI answer into smaller claims that can be checked. Many people see a full paragraph generated by ChatGPT and think, it looks reasonable, so it should be fine. But within one paragraph, some parts may be correct, some may be wrong, and some may only sound smooth. You cannot check whether the whole paragraph is reliable. You need to check whether each key claim has evidence. When breaking down claims, you can ask 3 questions. First, can this sentence be proven true or false? Second, if it is wrong, will it affect my assignment, paper, report, or judgment? Third, does it include a specific number, date, citation, definition, formula, or research conclusion? If the answer is yes, that claim should go into your checklist. Let's use a simulated example. Suppose ChatGPT generated this sentence. A study from a well-known university proved that using the Pomodoro technique can improve students' learning efficiency by 40%. Please note, this is a simulated sentence created to demonstrate the checking method. It does not represent a real study. You should not judge this sentence as a whole. You need to break it down.
First, does this study from a well-known university actually exist? Second, was the study actually about the Pomodoro technique? Third, did the original source use the word prove? Fourth, did it really mention a 40% improvement? Fifth, does the conclusion apply to all students or only to a specific experimental condition? After breaking it down, you will find that the most important thing to check is not the broad question of whether the Pomodoro technique is useful. What you need to check is the source, the strength of the evidence, the number, and the scope of application. Step 2. Check whether the source actually exists. If ChatGPT gives you a paper title, you can first search the full title in quotation marks. If you cannot find the title, search the author's name plus related keywords. If there is no clear citation, search the core conclusion, such as Pomodoro Technique Learning Efficiency 40% Study. For academic content, prioritize Google Scholar, university library databases, professional databases, or sources recommended in your course. For basic knowledge, prioritize textbooks, lecture notes, university open courses, official organization websites, or recognized sources in the field. Blogs, forums, and reposted articles can be used as clues, but you should not easily treat them as high credibility sources. If you cannot find a reliable source using the title, author, or keywords, mark that claim as 0 points for now and do not use it directly. You can mark it as unverified or rewrite it in a more cautious way. For example, instead of writing, "A study proved a 40% improvement," you could write, "Some study methods recommend time blocking, but the specific effect needs to be verified with reliable sources." Step 3 is the most important step. Finding a source does not mean verification is complete. Many people search for a paper, find that the paper really exists, and immediately assume ChatGPT was correct. But the existence of a source only means that the material may be related to the topic. It does not mean the source proves the sentence generated by AI. You need to open the original source and at least check the title, abstract, conclusion, or the most relevant section of the textbook or web page. Then compare ChatGPT's statement with the original text. If the original text says "may be related," but the AI writes "has been proven," that is a mismatch. If the original study only researched university students, but the AI writes that the result applies to everyone, that is a mismatch. If the original text only discusses time management, but the AI writes that the Pomodoro technique improves learning efficiency by 40%, that is also a mismatch. There is one especially hidden problem. I call it a zombie citation. A zombie citation means the citation itself is real, and the article really exists, but it does not support the claim generated by AI.
It looks like evidence, but in reality, it is just a decoration attached to the sentence. After comparing the source with the claim, you can divide the level of evidence support into 3 categories: fully supported, partially supported, and not supported. Fully supported means the original source clearly expresses the same meaning. Partially supported means the source is related, but the AI simplified the idea, exaggerated the conclusion, left out conditions, or used wording that is too absolute. Not supported means the source exists, but it cannot prove the claim. The final step is to make a decision using a 0 to 3 scoring system. 0 points. If you cannot find a reliable source using the title, author, or keywords, mark it as 0 points for now and do not use it directly. 1 point. If the source exists, but it does not support the claim or only provides very weak support, do not use it directly. 2 points. If the source basically supports the claim, but you need to add conditions, remove absolute wording, or find a second source, give it 2 points. 3 points. If the source is reliable, the evidence is clear, and the wording is consistent with the original source, you can use it. To make this workflow easier to apply, I created a free ChatGPT-generated content accuracy checklist.
It is not designed to make you check every single sentence. Instead, it helps you catch the parts that are most likely to be wrong and most likely to affect your final result. You only need to put the key claims into the checklist, then work through the source, evidence match, credibility score, and final decision step by step. You do not need to check the entire AI-generated text. Just enter the high-risk claims into the checklist. For example, for the sentence we used earlier, we would enter the key claim. The claim type would be research conclusion and data, and the risk level would be high. Then we would check whether the source exists, whether the evidence matches the claim, and finally give it a score from 0 to 3. This way, viewers do not just know that there is a checklist, they also know exactly how to start using it after downloading it. Now let's return to the Pomodoro example. If you cannot find a reliable source using the title, author, or keywords, mark this claim as 0 points and do not use it directly. If you find a related study, but it does not mention 40%, that is 1 point. If the source only says that certain time management methods may be effective under specific conditions, then at most it should receive 2 points, and you need to rewrite the claim in a more cautious way. Only when the source is real, reliable, and clearly supports both the number and the conclusion should you give it 3 points. So the next time you use ChatGPT to generate material, remember this order. Generate the first draft. Break it into key claims. Check whether the sources exist. Compare whether the sources actually support the claims. Then, score each claim and decide what to do with it. ChatGPT can help you organize and understand information faster, but the final judgment should not be handed over to it automatically. I have turned today's workflow into a free checklist, and the link will be in the description. After downloading it, you can use it to check revision notes, assignment content, paper materials, report drafts, research notes, or content before public publishing. If you want me to make the next video about how to check ChatGPT-generated paper citations, or how to make ChatGPT run a self-review before giving you the final answer, let me know in the comments.